JPEGMAFIA is one of the most impressive artists of this generation. His abilities as a producer and a songwriter to make some of the most creative and enjoyable songs is second to none. He's been doing this music thing for well over a decade under the Devon Hendrix name, but started as JPEGMAFIA in 2016. I wanted to rank all of his stuff since then under this name, so sadly there is no Devon Hendrix, but my favorites from that era are Pizzicato 5, Neon Kitchen, and Bubblegum Crisis. And I'm including everything on his albums and EPs from Black Ben Carson to I Lay Down My Life For You, and I did include Scaring the Hoes even though it's a collab, because I feel like I just had to.
I smell crack, I smell weed.
I Smell Crack is the worst song of his career, but I still don't think it's bad. I think the Bernie Sanders line is funny, and there's some cool stuff going on production-wise. I just think his vocal performance leaves a lot to be desired, and it plays it very safe.
I'm so nasty with it. White girls with the Walmart body just want me. Dead cops haunt me.
Plastic is another pretty forgettable song on Black Ben Carson, which I do think is his worst album. The song uses a very bouncy beat that I think is just improved on in every way on some veteran songs.
And your insecurities cause you ain't pure as you make it a purr to be.
Cuck has a pretty annoying beat, but I think some of the bars and rapping is cool.
Bitch, I shop at Whole Foods like I'm bougie.
I respect the ambition of the Whole Foods beat, but I just cannot listen to this song. The high-pitched noise in the back just does not sound pleasant at all. Black Steve Austin is the worst of the songs on Black Ben Carson that just has black in front of a dude's name.
Tight jeans, young peg lore, pop shit, catch a crime scene.
Boy has a pretty smooth sound to it that I can get down to. I like Peggy's part a lot, but I think the Butch Dawson feature brings it down a bit.
I stole money from the government.
Digital Blackface has a weird-ass beat that I think is pretty cool. This and a lot of Black Ben Carson songs are solid, but I just think he gets a lot crazier and polished on later albums.
My mama hate rappers, my daddy need his ass kicked.
Face Down, Ass Up has a shit ton of features on it, which I think is unique for Peggy. I think most of them do pretty well, and the cool beat makes this a pretty solid listen. Damn is one of the shorter songs on Veteran and has this ominous vibe to it that I think is cool. I just never really listened to this song.
White riders wanna pay me instead, you can't handle the facts that I'm rapping.
I think Peggy's EPs are pretty underrated and there's some solid stuff. They do play it safe, and This One's For Us is an example of that, but I think they sound pretty good and the production is great.
Take all my taxes, baby, I'm not stressed.
Black Stacy Dash is one of the weirder songs on Black Ben Carson, but I think that's why it's pretty memorable. There's like an R&B element to it, which I like a lot. It's getting pretty ridiculous how close together these Black Ben Carson songs are, but I swear it's not a knock on the album. I think it's great. Motor Mouth is enjoyable as hell with some sick bars.
Steady fucking with a blonde, I think I'm Frank. DJ Snitch Bill, I can't deal with all these sudden motions.
DJ Snitch Bitch interlude is an interlude, yes, but I still think Peggy was cooking on here. His flow is great and the beat is solid. I just wish it was a bit longer.
Bitch nigga, what's crackin', dog? Heard you about that action, dog.
What's Crackin' is an early example of Peggy's tendency to sample Future songs. It's funny, I don't even like Future at all, but I still think it's cool whenever he does it. Life's Hard, Here's a Song About Sorrel is a short little Cornballs song that still captures the melodic feel that the album has.
Everything's great. Everything's cool. Everything's perfect.
Trust is the worst on LP, but I still like the production a lot. I think Peggy could have gone harder with the beat though, if I'm being honest. He's a bit too laid back for me. I think I Lay Down My Life For You is probably Peggy's most consistent work in terms of how every song is pretty solid, even if the highs aren't as high as they are on some other albums. But It's Dark and Hell Is Hot is one that I just don't listen to all that much because the beat is just weird, man. I still like it though.
I don't want your number, no.
Basic Bitch Tear Gas is super pretty, and I think the No Scrubs melody is just hilarious because of how random it is.
I don't want it with nobody but you.
Bodyguard just feels like a Cornballs leftover in a way just because of how melodic it is. It's a pretty song, but the production doesn't take as much risks as songs on Cornballs.
Word in the street, you're a libtard. Turn rate makes you get hard.
Libtard Anthem is such a funny song lyrically that I had to put it this high. I don't really listen to it because it's not really a song you can just put on, but I still like listening to it sometimes because it's just funny.
Yeah, got these niggas looking like Pettigrew.
Panic Room is pretty damn solid. It's a song you can really listen to at any time because of how accessible it is, and I think songs like that are needed in Peggy's weird-ass discography. Rough Number 7 I think is one of the rare occasions where the feature outperforms Peggy because Tommy Genesis was going crazy on this song. I like the second half of Don't Rely on Other Men quite a bit, but it definitely takes a bit to get into the stop and go production style.
These days the bar's so low for weird shit, had to stop sharing. I'm so peerless.
The sample on God Don't Like Ugly is super cool, and I like how Peggy is just roasting his audience and talking his shit, which he totally has the right to do because his beats are beautiful.
Get it right, better get it right, get it right. Mm-hmm.
This That Shit Kid Cudi Could Have Been is one of the cloudier songs on the album, which I think is really cool. It's also better than every single Kid Cudi song. My thoughts on Neo Jaff or Neo Gaff dying is the funniest shit ever. I remember dying laughing the first time I heard Veteran and I read the title, and I was expecting something heavy, and then it's just I don't care throughout the whole song. Beat is hard too.
Champagne for the pain and suffering.
Living Single is perhaps the most basic Peggy song. There's some creative stuff going on production-wise, but it's very vocal-centric. I'm not complaining though, because I like the flows and the pretty heavy lyrics. Nice is not a basic Peggy song at all. The beat on here is weird as hell. Peggy doesn't even rap on here, but I just really like the beat, so I listen to it a lot.
Carson, bitch, I'm Ben Carson.
The title track on Black Ben Carson has an evil-ass beat, and Peggy sounds absolutely pissed on here. It's one of his angriest songs, and I think it's pretty great.
I'm covered in money. I'm up for the bag. Ooh.
Covered in Money is one of the wackiest songs on EP, and also one of the best. It has a lot of entertaining factors going on here in terms of melodies and production.
I got my hands on my face like Macaulay Culkin.
I love the melancholic and chill sound of Macaulay Culkin, and I honestly think it could be like top 50 if it wasn't for that stupid high-pitched noise I still have trouble getting used to that he uses on some songs on Veteran.
Surviving off cosign on my credit key logging the stage.
Keltec is a pretty damn good song, and I love the Bowser's Palace-ass production, and once the beat drops and Peggy starts cooking, it gets really good. One of the coolest on the second EP.
White boys don't know me. You fake thugs don't know me.
You Think You Know has a super heavy sounding drum that plays throughout, and it makes the whole thing sound really intense, especially when Peggy starts raising his voice consistently throughout the song.
Killing yourself, this ain't even Love Island. Trust fund money can't buy.
Last Dance is Peggy's chillest song. Like seriously, I could take a nap to this song. It's so mellow and I love it.
My bitch never got comfort from me. I needed too much help.
I Recovered From This works more as an album closer than an actual song to just play randomly. It's one of his heaviest sounding songs, and the lyrics match that. He's pretty critical of himself on this song, talking about his problems of being an artist and relationships with other people. It's not the most enjoyable song, but it definitely stops you in your tracks. Garbage Pale Kids is the only song on Scaring the Hoes that I just like rarely listen to. It's not bad, but I just rather listen to some of the heavier songs on here. It sounds like I don't like it by the way I'm talking, but trust me, I do. The verses are all great, especially Danny's. Buttermilk Jesus type beat is one of my favorite titles of his career, and it gets me every time when he literally says it's not a good title in the song. I don't know why he's lying though. Anyway, yeah, this song is super pretty.
No surprises, you know it's the Benjamin.
The Bends grew off of me a bit. I used to think it was one of his most underrated songs. I still think it's hard as hell though, and I love how laid back he is. I think it matches the beat perfectly.
I am not an artist, I'm a ghost in a black body.
All Caps No Spaces is one of the heaviest songs of his career, and it's pretty great. The beat goes crazy.
I get so lonely.
The vocals from Bobby Rush on DD Form 214 completely make the song for me. I mean, the production and Peggy verse is cool too, but the intro part is just really pretty. Loop It and Leave It has amazing production, some of the best on the new album, but this is another one where I feel like Peggy really could have gone harder.
We taking Brooklyn back, you can lead a coffee, and you coons dying too, word of Charles Barkley.
Williamsburg has a freaky ass beat, but I think it sounds great. It's pretty unconventional even for Peggy standards, but despite that, it's still pretty easy to get into.
Ain't got nothing for me, shot my story.
I know a lot of people are going to disagree with putting Fix Yourself and other EP2 songs above songs from more beloved albums, but I can't lie. This song and the rest of the EP is just so chill and just sounds like awesome. Peggy's vocals on this song are just heavenly.
I be pissed, they write the good friend, they can't pay rent. I spit on your bitch and it shit let me vent.
Ho, or Heaven on Earth, is one of the more mellow songs on Scaring the Hoes, and I love the sample of the girl singing. Danny and JPEG both go crazy with their verses as well. Real Person is one of the most out there Peggy tracks. The weird moaning vocals in the back play throughout the song, and though it makes it not very accessible for casual listening, it just shows how Peggy can turn the weirdest shit into fire beats.
But I don't fuck with little kids, bitch. I ain't Woody Allen.
Super Tuesday has a gorgeous beat, and there are some great bars on here. It's mostly just rapping throughout with not as much weird shit going on, but it's still a really nice listen.
I bring the pain, I bring the pain. I'm at your neck, don't speak my name.
Vulgar Display of Power is one of the heaviest songs on the album, and it's just awesome. The guitar sounds great, which I think is rare for rappers when they use the instrument as a main part of the beat, but Peggy makes his shit sound like a metal song, and his rapping is great. Shut Your Bitch Ass Up / Muddy Waters has one of Danny's best verses on the whole album. Seriously, his verse is awesome. The beat is great too, and this song is just pretty damn good. JPEGMAFIA Type Beat is one of the best short Peggy songs in my opinion. It's less than a minute, but there's just so much going on here. Even without a proper verse, it's just so manic, I love it.
I'm a thought that was never in doubt. They love me cause I spit on them messy. They fuck you cause you giving them clout.
Feed Her is the best song on EP2 in my opinion. It has the same melancholic style as the rest of the track list. I just think Peggy's verses are on another level here. This song is also just beautiful.
Pistol whipping so you know that it's war. I ain't even have to show up in court.
Nemo has one of the coolest beats on LP. It sounds like aquatic and bouncy, and it's just really smooth, especially when those drums kick in and Peggy starts going. Sometimes I wish this was longer, but I still love it as it is.
And I tell myself you ain't know her words and I draft apologies. Fuck.
I used to think that Step Up Pig was the worst on the album, but I was just tripping. The beat is so progressive, and even though this is the main example of that mixing problem for me, I think it still flows pretty well the more you listen to it. I scream this in the mirror before I interact with anyone was probably the most surprising Peggy experience I ever had. Like, I was shocked when those guitars came in. I was not expecting it at all. I think this song also holds up not just because of shock factor though, because the rap rock production is really good. I vividly remember when Lean Beef Patty came out as a single, and I was kind of disappointed that the beat drop kind of just carried the entire song, but now every time I listen to it, I just get so into the beat drop. Seriously one of the hardest moments of his career.
I give a fuck about peace, I spit hate crime.
Drake Era is one of the best on the album, and it really feels like it's been a minute since talking about Black Ben Carson. I think the top 4 on here are just on another level. This song has awesome cloud rap production with this ringing sound in the background that just sounds so good. I also love the lyrics.
I feel like I just made a case. Whole different style in my other hand. If you've been here while you relate.
Flame Emoji is a song that I never really seek out just because LP is so good and there's better on there. But that doesn't mean this song doesn't slap. It pretty much has all the elements that makes the album so amazing.
Stop scaring the hoes. Play that shit out and touch their toes. You wanna hear that shit no more. But the face that gets scared.
The title track on Scaring the Hoes grew on me a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I was kinda hating going into the album when it first came out, because I wasn't expecting the collab to work for some reason, even though I love both artists. But in retrospect, this song goes hard, and the whole album is some of Peggy and Danny's best work.
Baby, I love garbage, sling out whack tracks and Pitchfork loves it.
The 27 Club is the most famous and beloved song on Black Ben Carson probably, and that's just because it slaps. I totally get why everyone loves it. The beat is great, the lyrical concept is super interesting, and Peggy goes hard with his verses. It's not my favorite on the album, but I still love it nonetheless. Where You Get Your Coke From is a super experimental song production-wise, like even for Peggy standards. There's some wonky shit on here, but everything sounds great, and when the song transitions into the heavy parts, it just goes so hard.
Your sister dies. Who gonna weep when these coppers die?
I Just Killed a Cop, Now I'm Horny is one of the most disturbing and heavy songs Peggy made. It uses real audio of an instance of police brutality, and it's the center point of the political themes that the album focuses on. I think people forget, Peggy used to be a lot more political, and this is one of those songs that showcases why Peggy got as much respect as he did during his come up. It sheds light on a very relevant issue during this era, and it's a really interesting listen.
Black to the core, bitch, my skin on extra fleek. Y'all been piggybacking off a nigga since slavery.
Try Me goes absolutely insane. Like, the beat on here is awesome. It sounds like a classic ASAP song with just more interesting lyrics and a passionate vocal performance. This is one of his most underrated tracks in my opinion, and one I always look forward to when playing Black Ben Carson.
Unlock my phone and go straight to the Instagram. Need to see these crackers living lavish just to get me mad.
It feels like the beginning of the video all over again, as we have a third Black Ben Carson song in a row, with 2015 was a great year. This is seriously one of his coolest beats ever. It sounds like what a prime Devon Hendrix song would sound like, with the floaty and cloudy production, but everything just sounds so much smoother. Peggy's verses and rapping are great as well. This is the best song on Black Ben Carson in my opinion.
Morrissey, yeah, bunch of timid white who can't fuck with me.
I Cannot Fucking Wait Till Morrissey Dies is one of the funniest Peggy titles, and one that I find myself agreeing with. I do love the Smiths though. This song has one of Peggy's weirdest flows and just vocal performances in general. It's basically him hating on a bunch of loser artists, like Varg and obviously Morrissey, which is justified because those dudes are assholes.
Can't stay focused, I'm hopeless.
Germs, I think, is one of Peggy's most underrated songs. It has a really ominous feeling to it, with those eerie synths in the background playing throughout. Admittedly, it's not one of Peggy's best vocal performances, but I just usually end up getting lost in the track, and that's enough for me to put it this high.
Fuck rap, nigga, I'm firing.
Curb Stomp goes so hard. It's one of the angriest and most aggressive songs on Veteran, and it's one of the most fun to listen to. Shit just goes hard, I don't know what else to say.
Fuck your niggas home, they gon' be alone. Leave that nigga prone.
Prone is a great song on Cornballs that feels different from the rest of the track list because it's not very melodic, and it sounds like something off Veteran or LP, but even though Cornballs is my favorite Peggy album, and I love the melodic vibe, I think this song fits so well on the album, and it would be one of the best on Veteran or LP. BMT is really just a song that showcases how much Peggy improved his production style over time. Like, this song feels so much more polished than his earlier stuff, and yes, I love his earlier stuff, but songs like this make me glad that Peggy has tried to make his stuff sound a lot better in a technical sense.
We're not against, you're a hostage. Rap game thirsty, piss same color as Lodge.
1488 creates an insane atmosphere, like one of the coolest on Veteran. The production sounds like you're trapped in a forest at midnight, and Peggy's rapping fits with that haunting style. This song is one I would say is actually pretty scary to listen to, with all the stuff going on vocally and production-wise, and it's amazing.
We pet pistols, we make your heart stop.
BBW is a very short song with only a minute and a half, but the production is just gorgeous. The awes in the background are absolutely majestic, and Peggy's rapping also has a soft feel to it. I really wish the song was longer.
When I tell you something, and you come back and tell me it's fine.
The sample that plays on God Loves You with the Turn Me Around is one of the coolest on Scaring the Hose, and once again Peggy and Danny both go crazy on this beat. I think the album is made by the rapping performances because both artists step it up big time.
Damn, I feel like the new Black Ben Rollins. Niggas studying my footwork, I'm James Harden, bitch.
Damn has such a smooth beat. The whole song just flows so well, and every choice he makes when producing sounds so good. It's not the most innovative song, but it sounds amazing. It takes a bit to get going, but I think that works because when it does, it just puts you in an amazing mood.
Ain't no career, I'm just hoping Madonna dies. I get it poppin'.
Dot's freestyle remix is a fire-ass Cornball song. I said before it's my favorite Peggy album, and songs like this are why. I mean, it just goes hard. The beat is sick, and Peggy's flow is hard as hell. I also love the transition at like 50 seconds. It gets me floating every single time. End Credits has like a post-rock type beat that is just awesome. It's some of his most rock-based production before the new album. I think Peggy pulls off the rock elements better than like any other rapper. Like, every guitar and heavy drum sounds great, and Peggy's voice sounds like it could be a metal frontman. Untitled is such a pretty song. It's one of the more mellow ones on LP, and I think I've made it pretty clear I like the mellow shit. Peggy just floats on these beats, and it gets me floating too. Do wish this had a title though, because I forget about it way too much.
Peggy, where you been at? Getting all this promo. When it comes to money, bet these niggas is a no-show.
Baby I'm Bleeding is one of the songs that made Peggy as popular as he is. I mean, the stuff he samples on this track are just so out there and it's so unconventional. There's coughing, weird moaning noises, and a shit ton of screaming. But somehow you'll still be bopping your head when he starts his verse with Peggy, where you been at? This shit slaps.
Don't shop, leave the weapon, I hit the sticker with the dead stop. Shit looking like spinning style, specialized.
PTSD is another essential Cornballs track for me. It has a style that I love the album for so much, but Peggy is a bit more aggressive than usual compared to the rest of the track list. Basically everything he did on this album is amazing, like he could not do wrong on here.
Keep hustling, keep moving.
The part on Panic Emoji where he starts rapping with Keep Hustling is one of the hardest moments, like, of all time. Like, seriously, this song, to be fair, is kind of carried by that moment, but it still never gets old. One of my favorite Peggy verses of all time.
She catching the tip like a scrapper. I had issues with my barber. You got issues with the clippers.
I'll Be Right There was the first song on the new album that I was like, damn, this shit is beautiful. The sample is pretty, and Peggy matches the energy so well. The new album has a pretty vibe to it, and this is the one that really pulled me into it.
Young Peggy, I'm a false prophet. Bringing white folks is new religion.
Beta Male Strategies has like a weird sample in the back that plays throughout the first half that I can't really put my finger on what it is, but all I know is that it sounds great with the pretty beat. But then the second half comes in, and it's so different and chaotic, but it somehow doesn't ruin the atmosphere at all.
That's what's on walk like when the elephant in the room.
I'm not even a huge Vince Staples fan, but man, he went hard on New Black History. When the drums start going and then he comes on, it gets me moving every time. This one doesn't have the most innovative production, but I think it's so cool that Peggy is still able to make amazing songs without using weird-ass beats. Don't get me wrong, this beat does have some weird shit, like the Future sample and whatever it is at the end, but the heart of the song is pretty standard.
Style so slutty, even you gotta try. My shit can't be Trump on the 9.
Dirty is like the most Peggy song ever. It has funny and cocky lyrics, floaty but experimental production, a weird-ass beat switch where he starts going mentally insane, and then a closing segment where he gets progressively more aggressive. So yeah, this song rules.
I do a lot for the mentions. I spaz in other dimensions. But to take it to another level, my attraction came with a pension.
I'm not gonna lie, I was not a fan of Sin Miedo when the single dropped, but man has it grown on me. I think listening to it in the context of the album helped with that a lot, because now every time those heavy synths come in, I get so into it. The sample is still a little weird, but it's Peggy we're talking about here, and the guitars sound so fucking good too. I rarely see people praise Ex-Military as one of the best on the album, but man, I love it. It was my favorite when listening to it for the first time. I love how progressive it is. It's like creeping up to the beat drop, and he did not fail on making that shit pay off. I vividly remember just being trolled when listening to this for the first time. Like, where the fuck is the drop? Especially after he was getting more and more aggressive on every verse. Such a fun song. Fentanyl Tester is such an enjoyable song. A lot of Scaring the Hose can be weird and abrasive sometimes, but this song is just a banger. The sample is sick, Danny and Peggy are in their bags. Yeah, this one gets me wanting to test fentanyl, though I will not be doing that, don't worry.
I gotta have it, it's not a habit. Feel like a bad bitch, I smack it up.
I do not understand why OG is only a minute and a half. Like, this song has it all. An awesome beat, one of Peggy's catchiest flows, and sick lyrics. But I always feel like I want more of it when it's over, sadly, because it's just such an easy song to get into.
Loneliness is killing me inside. I must confess, I still believe and try.
Thought's Prayer is so catchy. The My Loneliness is Killing Me Inside melody is one of his most memorable, and it completely makes the song. Of course, everything else is great, but it's the heart of the track. It's one of the most melodic on LP, and it gets me singing along every time.
Everyday people pushing past the limit. Men only know suppressing what they feeling.
Don't Put Anything on the Bible is one of the heaviest Peggy songs. It's deeply personal, and the opening vocals from Buzzy Lee make it clear that this song is going to be more serious than normal. Peggy's rapping is focused and abnormally serious. It really makes you pay attention to what he's saying. He's talking about failed relationships and how his actions affect his well-being. The beautiful production also helps make this song one of his most powerful.
I don't hide from your bums, I survive through the slums, yeah.
On a more positive note, Post-Verified Lifestyle just goes hard as hell. Peggy's loud and angry, and the beat is great. It also has some nice slow parts with one near the beginning, and one at the end with some of the most majestic damn Peggies you will ever hear.
Whole time I got the vice grip. Your triggers busting, niggas ducking, I got the right clip.
Peggy wasted no time on Cutie Pie getting straight into his verse and straight into the beat. It's such a focused song, and a lot of times Peggy's work can feel all over the place. It's usually in a good way, but still I like when he just makes simple bangers like this one.
What you niggas want?
Rainbow Six is another one with just the weirdest production choices and sampling. The weird moaning being one of his most famous samples ever used is so funny to me because it's just so strange. This song has one hell of an atmosphere, and when the beat drops it just gives me chills every time. It's another scarier song on Veteran, which is his scariest album, but it's one of, if not the most memorable of the tracks like it.
These bullets coming at you. Take these bullets from me, that's my grimy waifu.
Grimy Waifu has one of the most majestic beats on Cornballs. The use of guitar on this track is incredible. It also has a super catchy melody with some funny ass lyrics. I love the lyric Grimy Waifu, and I just love this song. It's pretty much perfect.
I guess it's just a vicious cycle. Go like Bobby and look like Michael.
Rap, Grow Old, and Die X No Child Left Behind has a super loud and expansive production style that's quite different from most Peggy songs. It feels drony in a way, and it's super cool. I also love the repetition of It's a Vicious Cycle. At least that's the first part. The second part is completely different, but works really well as an outro. It's just so weird, I love it.
Gone with the sauce, got the full box tucked in the bag.
Rock and Roll Is Dead was the first Peggy song I ever heard, so it holds a special place in my heart. I still remember walking in a park when someone told me to check out this new JPEGMAFIA song. I was just blown away, like no way rap music can sound like this. The production is just mentally ill, and Peggy's vocals are powerful as hell. I also love the hook on this song, and when it transitions to the how many cars does it take melody, it's just so damn good.
I can't keep up with these girls, I just want quiet and peace.
The Ghost of Ranking Dread is one that I sadly slept on for a long time. It took me until making this video to realize how awesome this song is. The female vocals at the beginning are heavenly. They basically always hit whenever Peggy uses female vocals. And Peggy's vocals are great too, and the laid back beat works so well, and like dude, just listen to the song, it's so fucking good.
Better than me, better than you, I'ma bury it. Right. Trying to lead the niggas to freedom, Peggy Harriet.
Poppy I Missed You is just smooth as hell, and I love when Peggy gets in his angry bag. It's such a great way to end the album because you'd think it would end in a pretty way based off the context of the rest of the album, but it ends with a hard-hitting banger. And then the outro is creepy as hell too, and leaves such a big impact on you when you finish the album. Holy 10 out of 10. Orange Juice Jones uses such a pretty sample, and that's when I think Scaring the Hoes works the best. Those pretty old school samples used over a pretty simple beat, only to get more creative and out there as Peggy and Danny start rapping like hell. Top 3 on the album for me.
What about that shit you said that year when I was broke? Yeah, and what if I find a ticket beat up at my show?
Tired, Nervous, and Broke is one of Peggy's longest songs. But man, it doesn't drag once and deserves every second of its runtime. It uses so much different samples and instruments so it keeps your attention, but also doesn't overshadow Peggy's vocals. The What About That Shit You Say That Year When I Was Broke hits every time.
I wanna rock your world, I wanna be your girl.
The I Wanna Rock Your World melody is like a top 3 Peggy melody. Yeah, the whole of Thought Tactics goes hard, but every time that plays, I just fall in love with this song. This pretty much sums up everything the album was going for. Beautiful production, pretty melodies, and a level up in vocal performance. Perfect is the hardest hitting song on the album. The verses are all great, but like that beat, oh my god. The sampling is otherworldly, and it's probably the best starter Peggy song. It uses weird samples, yeah, but literally anybody can get into this song. Shit just goes hard, plain and simple.
I was struggling straight, now with the money and now with the fame. All of my bitches was trauma with shame.
Dikembe has a pretty loud following in the Peggy fandom, and I am a member of that following. The beat on the song is like not even real. Like it is so fire. It's like pretty, but also gets you moving, so it's just like the perfect middle ground, and it transports you to another world. And Peggy, my god, he goes crazy with the verses. Like Peggy is never in the conversation for best at rapping, but songs like this make it hard not to put him in that category for me.
We ain't got the same type of issues. The text agree. Are you jealous of mental?
Are You Happy is gorgeous. It uses one of the prettiest samples with the Easier Trouble thing. It sounds like an anime song or something, but Peggy uses it in a way that's not annoying at all, but in a way that just gets you feeling good. I am happy when I listen to this song. JPEG Ultra was my favorite when I first listened to the album, and it hasn't necessarily grown off of me. Another one just grew on me. Yeah, this song is just insane. Like, it's super progressive sounding and it feels so cinematic. This song was like an event when listening to this for the first time. Denzel absolutely kills this beat, and so does Peggy. And when that ethereal sample comes in every now and then, that I still have no idea what it is. I feel like I'm being sent to some desert island, and it's so good.
You're allowed to touch me, but I don't want to keep in touch. Yo.
Yes, I separated the bolds with the remix being worse for me just because the Denzel verse is a few seconds too long.
Switch my style like I switch hands, going to war in foreign land.
Yeah, not really that much of a difference. Next up is Bald. Pretty much everybody thinks this is one of his best. It's just absolutely amazing. The lyrics are super memorable. I especially love switch my style like I switch hands. The beat is really chill, but it allows for Peggy to just go crazy. And man, he does. Seriously, this is one of his best rapping performances.
Oh, nigga, I'm staying. Yeah. Oh, nigga, I'm just playing.
The title track on Cornballs is so freaking good, I think it gets really underrated. The I'm just playing melody is so catchy, and even though I can't really sing along, the sound of it just gets stuck in my head constantly. This might be his most melodic song, and I love melodic rap music, so I like that a lot. The beat is also beautiful, but this is Cornballs, so you already knew that. Absolutely a top 10 Peggy song for me.
I ain't messy, I'm just focused on my goals. Cause either on or off the drugs, my energy is Tony Powder in his nose.
Okay, I know a lot of diehard Peggy fans aren't gonna like Either On or Off the Drugs at number 9, because it is his most mainstream sounding song, but like I really don't care. This song is beautiful. The sample is weird, but like might be his prettiest, and the whole beat in general just puts me in a good ass mood. Peggy isn't the happiest rapper. He talks about a lot of heavy topics and gets really aggressive. Even if the song is lyrically not too happy, the song still makes me smile, and I think that's an important ability to have for any artist.
Bitch, I came back with the jacket, that's on shelf. Dropping my target, I'm wishing you well.
Keenan vs. Keel starts off like any pretty sounding cornball song, but then turns into something completely different. The second half of this song is aggressive and loud and weird, and it's just so attention grabbing. This is one of those songs where whenever it comes on, I just need to sit down and take it in, because it really stops you in your tracks.
Little bitch, I've been rapping like this. Marion Barry, I'm taking a hit. He carried the cross, I carried the clip.
What Kind of Rappin' Is This is such a memorable song. The whole track has a unique and strange vibe to it, and it never really progresses into anything familiar sounding. Even when Peggy starts his verse, there is still stops and creative production choices. It's literally a new type of rapping, but it's also fun as hell to listen to because it slaps.
I need all my bitches same color as Drake. If they not, then they getting rocked.
1539 N Calvert is the essential Peggy song. It's his most popular, and that's for good reason. It's also really accessible, the beat isn't too out there, and Peggy uses some catchy and mainstream sounding melodies and flows. But like everything is done to absolute perfection. The beat is instantly recognizable, and when he starts the verse with I need all my bitches same color as Drake, you immediately start grooving but also laughing because of Peggy's unique sense of humor. This is a classic and the best on Veteran.
Show me where the profits go. Show me how to keep my pussy close.
There's a lot of cornballs in this top 10 with 4, but I can't help myself when songs like Jesus Forgive Me, I Am a Thought exist. This song is just a masterpiece. The synths and just whole beat is incredible. Peggy has aggressive parts and one of his best singing performances. The part where he sings You Better Count Your Blessings for Real gets me floating, and then immediately after bobbing my head when Peggy starts his rapping again. This song is an experience and the best intro track of his career. Admittedly, this top 5 is not very unique for somebody who loves Peggy so much, but like I'm not gonna lie and act like Rebound isn't a top 5 Peggy song. The beat is fucking phenomenal, and the hook with the Why Would I Pray For Your Health is one of his best, and just like one of the best hooks in general. It's so aggressive and passionate, and the lyrical content as well make it even better. This song is just an anthem, and a song that has every part that makes Peggy great in it. Kingdom Hearts Key is my favorite on Scaring the Hoes. It's not really a hot take, most people I see online have this as their best. It's just beautiful, it's like Orange Juice Jones but better in every way. The sample is one of the best, and Peggy and Danny are smooth as hell. Red Veil also has a great verse. I love how the beat progresses into so many different things. It's like an experience, especially when Peggy plays along with the sample and starts singing along. This song is totally made by the sample. It puts it at the front and center of everything, and it pays off so well.
If it's good, then it's good. Break it down. This shit is out of my hands.
Free the Frail is the one. This one really has it all. Peggy's catchiest hook is on the song in my opinion, and maybe his prettiest beat. The vocals from Helena Delano are also just beautiful. That's really the perfect word to describe this song. It's just beautiful. This and number 1 are on another level for me in terms of Peggy songs. They transcend the genre of rap due to how creative and powerful they are. But Peggy doesn't forget to use the techniques that made him so beloved. He's still funny on this song and uses weird production methods. I especially love when he adds such a cool chord change line, because it fucking is. Best on Cornballs in my opinion.
If he fall on that floor, don't go. Gone. This ain't built for this page of my art. This shit paid for the state of my heart.
Yeah, I know, Hazard Duty Pay at number 1 is like the most basic opinion ever. But like, come on man, you're just lying if you don't think this is the best. It's literally musical perfection. The sample is amazing, obviously. It's like Kingdom Hearts key where it progresses throughout, and Peggy kind of plays around with it in different ways. But the difference between the two songs is Peggy. To say this is Peggy's best rapping performance feels like an understatement. He does it all on this song. He's chill, passionate, aggressive, and funny. All the things that make him so special. He's rapping about fake artists and reminding you that he's real and he's better than everyone. And at this point, I can't even argue with that, because this is seriously one of the best rap songs ever made, if not the best. In editing, I realized that I somehow forgot Thug Tears and Jihad Joe. I don't really know what happened, honestly, because I wrote the script for those two songs. I just somehow forgot to add them in. Anyway, I'd have both of them in around like similar categories, honestly, around the 70s. I like them, but they're not near my favorites. Peggy is my GOAT. Yeah, there's technically better rappers out there, but Peggy's production and insane creative mind make him more impressive than any other rapper. No matter how good you are at rapping, the most important thing an artist can do is make good music, and no rapper has ever made music as good as Peggy.